videos and subscribe to the videos. We'll bring you the best content in the rugby league because it's Big Dell, PNGBet.com. You know it. Hey guys, Wendell here for Big Dell's Tips, round 19. And I can't wait guys because now we're getting to the business end of the season. Last week my tipping wasn't so good. But anyway, there was a few upsets in there, but there's a few teams that actually, they rocked on and they played hard. The Canberra Raiders. Every time I tip them, they lose. And when I tip against them, they win. Oh, the Raiders. But you know what, Raiders? I'm tipping against you this week. I'm going to tip against you. Again. But the Eels versus the Raiders on Thursday night footy. What a good Thursday night footy game. They just had to get the job done last week, the Eels, against the Titans. The Titans up there in Queensland, Seabus Stadium, where a lot of the teams now are locked into Queensland because of this COVID period. And the Raiders have played some pretty good football the last couple of weeks. I reckon what they've done really well is when they've brought that young man Tom Starling on, they've kept Hodgson on there, and then one of them plays in the back row, the other plays at hooker, and it's a two-pronged attack. And move teams around, and you've got to move a team like the Eels around. The Eels are so strong through their middle third. Reed Marnie, exceptional comeback last week. 5 weeks out with his injury. Obviously, it's cost him an Origin jersey, Reed Marnie, but he didn't miss a beat last week. He's really the heart and soul of this Parramatta side. I know people keep talking about Mitchell Moses. People talk about Clint Gutherson. But I've got to say, if Reed Marnie doesn't play, they're in trouble in the big games. So last week, he controlled the ruck really well. Great kicking game. And that allows the backs to do what they do. Clint Gutherson, once again, exceptional there. Had his hand in a couple of tries. Just does what Gutho does. But I think now young Jake Arthur, he'll come into halfback there with Dylan Brown. No Mitchell Moses. Good opportunity here for the Raiders. The Raiders are starting to get some momentum. This is what Ricky Stewart likes. Back end of the season, they like to sort of get their hands on a few of these bigger teams. So the Eels are a top 4 side. This will be a nice scalp for the Raiders to get now. So Papali'i, he's leading from the front as always, doing a really good job. But I think for me, Corey Harawira-Naera, that's his best game in a lime green jersey. I watched him play at Penrith. I watched him play at the Raiders for a little while now, and also at the Bulldogs. But last week, everything he did was quality. His aggression in defence, he was aggressive in attack, and his footwork was really good. As I said before, Tom Starling, he's been a revelation there for the Raiders. Tarpany will do a good job off the bench. Where I see this game, Parramatta Eels, $1.20. Look, I think that's way too short for the Parramatta Eels. They're going good, but they're not going that good. Canberra Raiders, $4.30. But what I'm willing to do here, I'm willing to give the minus 13, Parramatta Eels minus 13 for $1.79. I reckon that's a nice little cushion there. You give the 13 away, I reckon they get the Raiders here. The Raiders, they go up against some pretty heavy ammunition here with players like Sevo, Blake Ferguson. I think Blake Ferguson will be much improved here after his month in reserve grade or being put back. He'll be better for it. So good luck to the Eels here and the Raiders. This should be a nice cracking game to start Thursday night footy. I can't wait. Well, the first game on Friday night, we've got the Roosters versus the Knights. Well, the Knights last week, they're on all sorts. They came up against the Melbourne Storm juggernaut. Callum Ponga obviously has been unlucky there. He got knocked off the ball by Kamikamitha. He went off and he didn't return. So, yeah, they need Callum Ponga to stay on the field, but there are too many mistakes in the Newcastle team. Obviously, the Saifidi brothers, they've got to set that standard. Daniel Saifidi, he didn't play last week. He missed the last Origin. They've got a really good side, Newcastle, but they just can't put it together. Jay Clifford, he needs to get him around a bit better. Jay Clifford, he obviously came from the Cowboys. He's finding his feet there, along with young Crossland there. So that young halves combination, they've got to learn to sort of work off each other. But last week against the Melbourne Storm, I think it was 30-0 at half time. They were just on the back foot. No matter what they did, they just couldn't stop the Melbourne Storm. Well, the Roosters, they're not going to be as tough as the Melbourne Storm, but the Roosters still got a lot of good players here. When you get this guy who returns, James Tedesco had last weekend off. The Roosters got the job done last week against the Cowboys, but Teddy Tedesco, obviously playing really good football, he'll go back to fullback, and then in the halves, young Sam Walker will do the job there. But their forward pack, this forward pack for me, there's still a chance this season, the Roosters. People keep saying, it's Melbourne Storms to lose or it's the Panthers to lose, but this is still a good side. There's a lot of good kids in this side. Jared Hargraves, he'll lead from the front, but look at this back row. Angus Crichton, Tupanua and Victor Radley. I love Victor Radley, one of my favourite players. He only knows one way, and that's aggressive football and attack and defence. And I think he's very undersold on his skills too. With his ball handling, he's been playing really good football. Victor Radley. He's got to change his point of obviously his hitting region, but his tackle technique is still one of the best in the game. Lachlan Lamb's doing a great job off the bench. But yeah, I just think for me, Newcastle, they've got to cut the mistakes out. If you want to go deep into the playoffs and if you want to stay in the top 8 and thereabouts, mate, you've got to be disciplined, and they're not disciplined enough. I look at the price here, the Roosters are $1.30. I think it's a bit too short. Newcastle Knights are $3.25. Where I'd go here, I'd give the start, Roosters minus 12.5 for $2.02. I just think the Roosters can put the Newcastle Knights to the sword unless Kalen Ponga stands up here. But their forwards are got to be aggressive. They've got to go through their middle third and on the edges. Otherwise, it's going to be a long, long night for them at Sunshine Coast Stadium. Sorry. Friday night football, what a game to end. The Cowboys up against the Storm. Well, I know the Cowboys are at home, but when you're playing against the Melbourne Storm, they don't care where they play you. At the moment, they're just having their way with any team that they want because that's what they do. No matter who they bring in, they just know what to do. They're playing great football. Last week, they rested Josh Adokar, Christian Welsh, and they still get the job done, by 40 or 50 odd points. But they're up against the Cowboys, once again, they've got some good players, the Cowboys, but there's still a lot of young players doing a lot of silly young things. Drinkwater tried hard last week. And Dearden, they just haven't got their combination right at the moment. But if you have a look at the back there, Hamaso, he did a really good job last week. He's been their shining light all season, this young Hamaso. He was great in Origin, but they've got too many young players in the back, like Murray Tuolangi and Limu Limu. Those guys, they're young guys who have got to learn. Sometimes don't throw the big pass, don't go near the sideline because you've got to try and hold that position, but also hold that field position. Their forward pack's not bad, but I look at Tamalala, he's got to do a lot more here. And I think, for mine, the Cowboys coaching staff have got to keep him on a bit more longer. Or give him a little rest and put him on there. Because when he's on there, he gives you so much more confidence. And I'm going to go through the Storm side. Just look, we know how good they are, but this is their X factors at the moment. Nico Hines, who's man of the match last week, Olam has played ridiculously well. He's nearly the best centre in the competition at the moment. Cooper Johns comes in this week at 5'8", so Cam Munster, he's getting a rest. This is that rotation. This is that rotation system that you sort of see from the Melbourne Storm. They know what they need to get through to the finals and obviously get to the grand final to win it. Big chance of going back to back. We know they're the favourites this year. Jesse Bromwich, obviously, he's one of their keys. Christian Welsh, Brandon Smith at hooker. Brandon Smith's not even their number one choice hooker, and he's been playing outstanding. And I look at that back row, Bromwich, Kamakamitha, and good bench. Big Nelson, Asafa Solomona, he's back. And what about this? This guy we haven't seen since Magic Round, Ryan Pappenhausen. That's right. He was destined to play Origin this year. He was in the mix last year, but this year Freddie had him in his 17 somewhere, and then he obviously got his head knocked. So it's taken him this long to get back from Magic Round. That's a long time. So welcome back, Ryan Pappenhausen. The game's better for having you back in, son. But I tell you what's not bad is when Pappenhausen's been injured this whole time, you get a guy like Nico Hines who's doing his job. So I look at the price here, mate. You won't see this too much, but the Cowboys $7.85 in a 2-horse race. Melbourne Storm $1.05. Mate, to be honest, I'll just take Melbourne Storm with a minus 25 start for $1.69. I just think they can put them to the sword. They're going to have to dig deep, the Cowboys, but mate, you're just not going to stop a Melbourne side. I think they've set records all over the shop this year, and mate, they'll keep on keeping on. Well, I'm doing this game for Triple M, Rabbitohs versus the Warriors. Oh, the Warriors. Every time you think the Warriors can do something, it's an anticlimax. And I feel for the Warriors fans because they've got such a good side and they just come up short. And the Rabbitohs at the moment, Wayne Bennett knows this time of the season, they've just got to get their players and do their job. He rested Latrell Mitchell last week. Obviously, Dane Gagai did a really good job. But one of the funniest things I've ever seen on a football field is as you're walking off, Cody Walker was lipping young Lachlan Lewis up, and he kept lipping him off, and then all of a sudden, it was half time, and then Lachlan Lewis just wrestles him. What are you doing? You can't do that. That's 1-0 to Cody Walker, because I think Cody Walker was saying to him, mate, what are you doing out here? You'll be back in reserve grade next week, or you belong in reserve grade. So obviously that hurt Lewis, and 1-0 to Cody Walker, because I know he's pretty good on the sledge. So anyway, I'm looking at this Rabbitohs side. Geez, it's hard to stop this Rabbitohs side. Josh Mansour comes back onto the side. You've got Latrell Mitchell at the back, mate. There's big ups. He's 5-star. He had a wonderful Origin series. I think Tommy Turbo got the Wally Lewis medal, but I've got to say Latrell Mitchell must have been close to getting it as well. And I look at the forward pack. Jaden Sewer just signed a 3 deal with the Dragons. Well done, Jaden Sewer. Cam Murray, he's been outstanding this season, and Colin Matungi, he's been a wonderful player, edge back rower. He will play for New South Wales in the next couple of years. And then look at their bench. They're doing a good job too. Joy Arrow, Tane Mill, they're going to be hard to beat. But just when you think the Warriors, when you keep tipping against them, they upset a team. There's a few whispers around last week that might upset Penrith, but Penrith were too good. They were a chance, but then Penrith went to the next level. That's what the Warriors have got on them at the moment. They've got a good side. Reece Walsh at the back. Obviously, Ewan Aitken there, Montoya, Chad Townsend. Mate, they got good backs. Dallin Martini's listening out. They got good backs, but they just can't be disciplined enough, and they're not patient enough. You've got to be patient in this game. That's why the Panthers, that's why the Storm is so good at what they do. Parramatta Reels, because they're patient, they get to their field positions and then they strike. Look at this forward pack. Adam Fanua-Blake, Lodge, Sirenen, Murchie. It's a good forward pack. They should be doing better than where they are. I think this year they've lost 6 or 7 games by less than 6 points. And I think a couple of those games by less than 1 point. So it's their mental toughness, and it's staying in the grind for those clutch opportunities. And when you get those clutch opportunities, Chad Townsend is the man that's got to pull the trigger. Anyway, I've looked at the prices here, and I'm not surprised. South Sydney, $1.16. The Warriors, $4.57. What I'm looking at here, I'm just going, you know what? The Bunnies, they've got too many points in them. Minus 7.5 points for $9.96. The only bad thing here from the Bunnies is I think Alex Johnston, I think he's out for a month with a leg injury. So I think he scored 22 or 23 tries. That's been unbelievable. So hopefully he's back in a couple of weeks and he can keep on keeping on. But not a bad replacement when you can bring in someone like Josh Mansour. Hey guys, Wendell Saylor here, and what a game we have for you here. The Seagulls versus the West Tigers. The Tigers versus the Eagles. How good. And 2 class fullbacks here. One who's playing career best football, and the other one's just starting his career, and he's been so good. Consistently setting up tries, saving tries. Just his awareness on where to be has been unbelievable. Young Dane Laurie. If he doesn't get Dally M Rookie of the Year, well, you know what? I'm not a Jordan National. Simple as that. I'm just not a Jordan National. I'm not a good judge. This kid has been outstanding. We know that people have been talking about young Sam Walker and how he sets up tries and all that, but I think Sam's come back to the field the last couple of weeks, and I think Dane consistently in this Tigers side aims up week in, week out, puts his body on the line, pound for pound. Oh, I love the way the kid plays. But you know what? When you talk about the master and the apprentice, so this is the master at the moment. Tom Trbojevic, the best player in the NRL. So he's rested up after Origin. Real smart play there. They got the job done last week, Manly Seagulls, without big Tommy Turbo against the Dragons. But Tommy Turbo's back. You know what it's like? It's like the F1, and you got your Ferrari, and you just think, okay, I'm going to rest him up. Or it's like the Melbourne Cup. That's my analogy of what Tommy is. You give him a week off, you get him primed for this game, and let me tell you, he's going to run roughshod over the West Tigers. The West Tigers, they click in and out of games. You can't afford to against this Manly side. I think this Manly side will be more focused now. The young players have done a really good job this year. I said that before. But I think it's the experience. DCE comes back into it also, and Jake Trbojevic. That's 3 big ins. DCE, the Trbojevic brothers, you know what that spells? That spells troubles for the West Tigers. A lot of trouble. A lot of Barney rubble. But there's some good players in this West Tigers side, but they've got to consistently do it. I don't think they can. I look at Dane Laurie playing well at the back, but even their forward back, James Tarmow, the last couple of weeks, their captain, he's stood up. Big Leilua on the edge. His skill and footwork, his fitness has gotten so much better this year. He's doing a really good job. Big Stefano Atukamanu, he's been a good player. Very hard name to pronounce, but also very hard man to stop on the field. He's been really good with Thomas McKaylee. So those blokes have set the standard for the Tigers. So when they were coming back last week against the Broncos, those big men were hitting it, offloading the ball, And you've got to do that against the Seagulls. You've got to go through their middle third and on their edges and then go wide. If you try and go lateral, you'll get absolutely schooled. So where I see this game being won and lost, Manly Seagulls, $1.13. West Tigers, $5.60. They've got so many points in on the Seagulls because of that man Tommy Turbo. Because even if he doesn't get the ball, mate, he draws players in, and that leaves guys like Saab, guys like Parker and Harper to do their job, and Ruben Garrick. Ruben Garrick's had an outstanding season, kicking goals from left, right, and centre. So for me, take the Manly Seagulls minus 9.5 for $2.01. That's right, that's easy money. The Tigers, they'll have a go, but they can't go with Manly. They can't go with Manly. The Seagulls. Well, round 19, Saturday, 7:35 game. The Panthers versus my Broncos. My Broncos. Last week, I tipped them against the Tigers. They were cruising, and they just choked. There's no other word for it. They had field position, they had opportunity, they just kept squandering the ball time and time again. And well done to the Tigers too, because guys like Dewey stepped up, Nofaluma, he was really good. But look at this Panthers side now, and one of the big ups for the Panthers is they've been winning these games still without guys like Nathan Cleary and obviously Jerome Luai. Well, have a guess what? Luai's back. So Broncos fans get very nervous because I saw him there was a bit of a scuffle on the sideline last week with Reece Walsh and another player, and it was quite funny. You can see Jerome Luai wanted to get involved, mate. You're not playing the game, mate, so he's a bit chirpy himself. But look at this Panthers side. This is a formidable Panthers side. You know, Edwards, Staines, Crichton, Burton, To'o, Luai, mate, what a good side. And then you look at the forward pack: Appy Coruscant, Fisher Harris, Kickout, Capewell. It's like an international / Origin forward pack, and what a team. And the bench, Liam Martin, an Origin player. So I look at that, and I look at the Broncos side. The Broncos have got some good players. Let's not question that. But it's about consistently playing well. Corey Oates, they need to get their defence right. I think it was on the left edge. I think the Tigers scored 1 or 2 tries down that left side with ease. One time Dewey went inside, went bang. There was no one covering in. Another time there was one on the right there. It was way too easy. They've got some good players in this Broncos side, but I just think man for man, I think the Panthers outweigh them. Oates, Staggs, Asako, they've got some good players, but there's no one in here that I can see that's going to stand up here and rip this Panthers side apart. It's at Suncorp Stadium, that's the only thing. But you know what? The Panthers don't care. They'll play you anywhere, anytime, any place, and they'll do a job on you. Once again, the Penrith Panthers, $1.14. The Broncos, $4.90. Mate, I'll tell you what, I'm giving the Panthers, mate, 19.5 start for $2.02. I just believe in the Panthers that much. I just reckon now they're seeing everyone talk about the Melbourne Storm, what they can do. Luai's coming back. I reckon Cleary will be back in a couple of weeks, and then you'll see the real Panthers stand up. But at the moment, this side's too good, and at the moment the Broncos are too fragile. They're too hot and cold. Kevin Walters would have blasted the Broncos last week because that was a great opportunity to win that game, and they couldn't do it. But I'm going to Panthers here in a big way. I'm Panthers minus 9.5. Wow. The Dragons versus the Titans. Oh, the Dragons. The Dragons have got some players who have come back who obviously, we know they had that party a couple of weeks ago, and it cost them last week too because guys like Duffy and that had to have the week off, and there's some players there that they need them to stand up this week. You're going against the Titans. This one, it hangs in the balance here because for me, even though I was playing at Seabus, the Dragons have got such a good side. They just haven't been able to put it together. I look at this Dragons side. Matt Duffy, obviously doing a good job at the back, and now he's signed with the Bulldogs. Good signing. Good to see him find a home. But I look at this side. There's some good young players in the side. Cody Ramsey, young Jaden Sullivan. This young kid, Jaden Sullivan, he played a lot of rep football through his juniors, New South Wales schoolboys, Australian schoolboys, and all that sort of stuff. This Jaden Sullivan, the kid can play. So he's had a few injuries this year. I think he'll be right. So he'll partner Ben Hunt. Obviously, Corey Norman will have his week off because he was part of that house party. But Blake Laurie, Andrew McKellar, mate, there's a good forward pack. Look at this for a back row. Jack Bird, Tarek Sims, Josh Maguire. And the bench, Jack DeBellin moves back to the bench. And Adam Clune is obviously a very good half. He'll play at 14. But and then again, you go to the side, you look at this Titans team. This Titans team, they're in my top 8 this year, but they just lose games that they shouldn't lose. So really they should win this game. So Brimson at fullback, and you look at their halves. Ash Taylor's obviously there. A young guy called Toby Sexton comes into the halfback position there. So they're going to miss their captain. He's out this week, so that's no good. But also look at their forward pack. Wallace, Rain, Fortawaker. Look at that back row. This is the back row that sets a standard. When they're on the Titans, this back row. Kevin Proctor for Feeder and Big Tino for Usam Ali. He is so hard to stop. He sets that standard for them. So when he goes forward, they all follow him. And obviously, Fafita he's such a powerful beast, but they complement each other, I reckon. That's what happens with Fafita and Big Tino. And Proctor, obviously, he's the old stage of the veteran, just gets his job done. But we have a look at those benches, as I said. Tyrone Peachy, he's their X factor coming off the bench there. Where I see this being won and lost, I reckon there's like 4 points in it either way, and I reckon the bookies have got this right. So the Dragons are paying $2.35, Gold Coast Titans $1.53. Mate, I'm going to go the Dragons here. I think the Dragons got a lot more to lose at the moment, and they've got to be desperate. There's a young kid played last week, young Sloan. Unfortunately, he's not in this team, but because Duffy's back in there, so I'll see what they're trying to do there. But you nearly find a position for young Sloan because he's a footballer. But yeah, I'm going the Dragons here just to win. Straight off the bat, no taking the forced start. I reckon they can win this game. So the Dragons for me to win this game at $2.35. Well, the last game to round off round 19 is the Bulldogs versus the Sharks. The Bulldogs, they keep trying. They just can't finish it off. And last week against South Sydney, they were right in that game. I know there's a couple of players missing for South Sydney, but once again, the Bulldogs, they did some silly stuff. They tried to push a few passes. There's a couple of players doing the right thing there, but young Lachlan Lewis, he's very lucky. He's lucky to get another go here because at half-time, walking off, he just had a brain explosion. Cody Walker gets into him, and then when you're sledging someone, you just got to let them sledge it. It's on half-time, so all the cameras are on you. So all of a sudden, Lachlan Lewis snap. Obviously, I don't know, he's been watching too much UFC or something. He just wrestles Cody Walker down, and Cody Walker, that's 1-0. That's a win for him. So anyway, Lachlan Lewis, obviously, he's got to stand up for his team this week. He takes some bad options, Lachlan Lewis. Sometimes he tries to play too individual. His job is like Averillo. Get the team around and look for those big moments and look for those clutch plays. Their forward pack's doing a good job. I've got to respect the Canterbury forward pack. They are ripping in. They are having a go through that middle third. I don't care whether you're first or whether you're 16. If you're going to win games, you've got to go through the middle of any team. If you don't go through the middle, you're not going to throw it out wide and go lateral and go around them. It's not under 8s. You can't do that. You can't do that at the moment. So you've got to earn that right. Nick Meaney's doing a good job at fullback there. Young Aaron Shoup, he's doing a nice job there. The young centre, I think he's down from Wollongong way. He's playing some nice football. But then I look at the Sharks here. The Sharks were in that game last week, and they just found a way to lose it. They got rattled hard by the Raiders. The Raiders just kept scoring points on them. It's unfortunate there, but the Sharks have got to bounce back. If they want that top 8 position, if they want to play finals football, they got a good side. I look at this side. William Kennedy has been one of the finds this season. I know he's been down and off the last couple of years, but William Kennedy, he's scoring tries, saving tries, but just he's got X factor about him. So if he does his job, this forward pack will do their job. Well, you just got guys like him and Trindle and Sean Johnson. Sean Johnson, he's still mercurial. He's still one of those players. And Ronaldo Mulatalo, he dropped the ball there at the end when he was bringing the ball back. He'll learn from that. We've all done it. It's unfortunate. I think he brought the ball back hard. They're down by 4 points, and then all of a sudden he got whacked by 3 Raiders players. The ball spilt out, and young Xavier Savage scores that try, and that was game, set, and match. So I look at their benches, and I reckon the Sharks have got a better bench here than the Bulldogs, on the back of someone like Braden Ueli. He's such a good player, this big unit. He's gotten fitter. Nakora's on the bench as well. They'll bring a lot more energy than I think what this Bulldogs forward pack will, especially this interchange. Napa's a good player. We know Ogden's a good player, but I don't think they're the same quality of player as these guys are. So I'm looking at that team now. I look at the price, and this is probably fair. Dogs, $3.65. Cronulla Sharks, $1.24. I reckon I'm giving the Sharks, I'm giving the minus 11 point start for $1.75. I just think the Sharks got too much to lose at the moment. and so much to gain. So the Sharks are mine, and I think the Bulldogs here, they might learn a bit from last week. I could be wrong, but I just think they're just probably a couple of players, a couple of experienced players away from where they need to be. And obviously there's been some good signings for the Bulldogs over the last couple of weeks, and they'll be better for it next year. And obviously Phil Gould will join them in the off-season, so that'll be great for them. But I just can't see the Sharks getting beaten here. Yeah. That's round 19 for Big Dell's tips. We'll see you same time, same place, next week.